found in online chats, people will post, what's a homeopathic way to treat XYZ? And then people will start commenting with essential oils or supplements or home remedies, herbal tinctures, etc. And I just wanted to share that homeopathy is actually its own form of medicine. They are created in pharmacies, they are approved by the FDA, and it's its own sphere of medicine. So I think the word homeopathy gets interchanged with holistic a lot. And while homeopathy is holistic, homeopathy doesn't mean any kind of home remedy. So I just wanted to share with people who might not know what homeopathy is, just a little bit of information about it. So homeopathic medicines are created in pharmacies, and they usually come in some kind of vial. These ones are boron. They're usually the ones that are found in grocery stores, so these might look more familiar. And they can also be liquid with a dropper. And how they are created is by taking a particular substance, heavily diluting it and succussing it, which means shaking it in a certain fashion, and then continuing to dilute it so that they are very safe to take. And then you can see in my hand, I don't know if you can see, there's little sucrose pellets. They're pretty tiny, but they can actually be different sizes. So the really tiny ones were in the brown vial, and then the boron ones are a little bit bigger. So you can see that one is a larger one. It doesn't matter what the size of the remedy is, it's not changing how much you're taking. So how they're made is the substance is diluted, and once it gets to the proper potency, the liquid is dropped over the sucrose pellets. So the sucrose pellet is actually just a carrier for the remedy, and what you're taking is what's actually coating the remedy. So we were having this discussion in an online forum yesterday about oscillococcinum and how the vial says to take the whole thing, like all of the sucrose capsules for one dose, but in reality you only need one of those little pellets. And because if you take one or you take 5 or you take 50, it's just one dose because you're just getting what's on the remedy. And it's not in a physical dose like 400 milligrams of ibuprofen, or that you need a certain amount of it. It's just trying to get the substance in you to stimulate your body to cure itself of whatever the illness is. So an example of this would be like if you are cutting an onion, what happens? You cut the onion, you start, your eyes start dripping, you're, wiping your eyes, your nose might get drippy, and you're just kind of like, ah. So if there's an illness that matches that, let's say seasonal allergies, like if you experience seasonal allergies that way where you get really drippy, itchy eyes and runny nose, Allium cepa, which is the remedy made from onion, would help cure you. So the whole premise behind homeopathy is like cures like, or homeopathy, same illness. So what would cause an illness in a healthy person can actually cure an illness in a person that is sick. So this was discovered by Samuel Hahnemann, who was a German physician over 200 years ago, who had the idea that maybe certain substances that when taken cause symptoms that match an illness could actually cure it. So he tested this on himself and some colleagues and friends, and he took this certain tree bark that he would take it, heavily diluted, but take it over and over and over again until he started experiencing symptoms. And he found that those symptoms that he experienced matched people with malaria, the symptoms that they experienced. So he suspected that if he gave that same, diluted tree bark to somebody with malaria, it would cure them, and he found that it did. And from that, he spent his life dedicated to kind of writing about homeopathy, teaching about homeopathy, and kind of perfecting that craft. And over the last 200 years, there have been many homeopaths who have come after him who have continued with this form of medicine. An interesting side note, in the United States, homeopathy is not as well talked about, used, because, there's reasons for that, and I won't get into all those right now, but it's pretty common in England. In India, it's very common. The homeopaths there are actually doctors. In the United States, there were actually many homeopathic hospitals. There were homeopathic colleges, medical schools. People who graduated from those medical schools became doctors of homeopathy, and all that kind of went away. And I will get into that in my Homeopathy 101 course about the reasons for that. Not because it didn't work, I can tell you that. So homeopathy kind of lost favor in the United States, not because it didn't work, and it's starting to make a resurgence. And after studying it for 15 years myself, I'm excited to share and teach people about it and how to use it. So homeopathic remedies are made in pharmacies. It's its own form of medicine. There are thousands. I know there's at least 4,000 homeopathic remedies, but I think I actually saw something that was closer to like 7,000. So it can be made from any substance. It can be made from plant, animal, mineral, all kinds of things. And they are heavily diluted so that they don't cause harm to people. They are very safe. They don't cause side effects. In fact, if you take a remedy and it doesn't match your symptoms, it's not going to do anything. So there's a lot of misinformation out there on the internet, YouTube, where people will like find a remedy at the store, and on the side of the remedy it says, like, this one is phosphorus, and it says relieves dizziness and headaches. The reason it says dizziness and headaches on it is because the FDA required that they have something on it, because this one is really old. It was before the FDA required it, and it doesn't say what it's used for. It just says natrum sulf. So it says the name of the remedy, but not what it's used for. The FDA said, hey, you have to put what it's used for on the label. Well, phosphorus is a very common remedy and can be used for thousands of different ailments. So they had to pick two. So they put headaches and dizziness. But if you went to the store with headache and dizziness and said, oh, I have headache, dizziness, I'm going to take phosphorus, 9 times out of 10 it's probably not going to work, because the particular headache has to match the symptoms of phosphorus. And what I'm saying is homeopathy is very individualized. So if your headache is like squeezing pain in your temples and you feel really hot and you feel dizzy, then that would be one remedy. But if your headache is more of a frontal headache and it's worse for light, and you feel nauseous, like, that's a different remedy. So there's so many different kinds of headaches. When you think about migraines or any kind of headache, there's a remedy that matches all the different types of headaches, and you have to match the one that matches your symptoms. So if you take phosphorus for any headache, it probably isn't going to work unless your symptoms actually match the headache that phosphorus has. And then how you figure that out, I can share in future videos, but basically you have to look at what your symptoms are and then match them to a remedy. And there's books, there's computer programs, there's all kinds of ways to do that. So yes, homeopathy is a very effective form of medicine. There's a lot of misinformation. I think I saw something like this guy got a bottle of coffea, which is a remedy made from coffee, and on the side it says insomnia. So he said, okay, if I take this whole bottle and overdose on it, I should be up all night. And so he takes the whole thing and he's like, yeah, I did nothing. That's because you can't overdose on it. You can, however, if you take one pellet every 30 minutes for days, you can start what's called proving the remedy, which is what Samuel Hahnemann did to discover this is the symptoms that this particular substance causes. And proving a remedy means that you're just taking the remedy over and over and over, and you're a healthy person, and then you will start having the symptoms of something. And that's how they would prove remedies, to show what they were used for. And then when you stop taking it, those symptoms actually go away. So it's not dangerous, but if you use a remedy a couple times and you find that it's not helping you, then just stop taking it, because it's not the right match. And then when people say, oh, it's a placebo, it's pseudo medicine, it's whatever, these people obviously don't understand homeopathy or how to use it, and they're just blindly taking something off the shelf that says headache and taking it and say it doesn't work. In the insomnia example, if you have that particular type of insomnia where you feel jittery and how you feel when you take too much coffee, that would be a great match. But if you have insomnia where you fall asleep but then you wake up and you can't get back to sleep and you're up all night, that's a completely different remedy. So, and another note about homeopathy being individualized, like when you have the flu or a cold or whatever, you want to match as best you can one particular remedy with your symptoms, because homeopathy isn't based on a diagnosis. So if you say, I have a UTI or I have asthma, there's not a remedy where you just say, oh, asthma, take this. In the store, you will find, like, if you have the flu, there are certain remedies like cold calm, or there's an allergy calm, or different types of combination remedies. And what they're doing is taking like the 5 or 6 most common remedies for the flu or for a cold or for allergies, mixing it together, and then coating the pellets with all of those. So it's kind of like, well, maybe one of those 6 will work for you. So it's kind of like, you know, giving you a chance to try something to help when you don't know what the one right remedy is. So it can be effective. I find that I just look for the one that matches best and take the one, because I do feel like that's most effective, but in a pinch, that is one way that you can use those combination remedies. So I really love that homeopathy is holistic, that it is something that's very individualized, and homeopaths take into account your emotional state, your physical state, everything about you to match remedies. Because some remedies, like one I took recently for flu, the remedy that I took wants to be like perfectly still, you don't want to move, and it's called the bear. There's a nickname for it because people are usually pretty like, don't mess with me. But that can be a state that you feel when you're sick. And so there's certain emotional aspects that match remedies too, that can help pinpoint what you need to take. So it's really fascinating. It's very, I love it. I love studying it. I've been studying it for 15 years, and there's just so much to learn, so much to study. There's some great YouTube videos out there mainly from Indian homeopaths, just because it's more practiced there, that I find fascinating. But I wanted to start this channel to share with the people in the US, like, that this is a very powerful form of medicine. It's still in use today. There's lots of people that use it in the US, and there's just not a lot of information out there. So I want to share our family's personal experiences with it and how we've used it, and also some educational things to teach people. So if you'd like to subscribe and get updates, I would love for you to do that. And thanks. And also, if you have any questions or things that you want to learn more about, feel free to comment, and that way I'll know what you want particular videos about. And I know this is a very high level, and there's so much more that I will get into in future videos, but this is just kind of a drop in the bucket to give people an idea of what homeopathy actually is. So thanks for watching.